All right, so today we are taking a deep dive into The Book Thief by Markus Zusak.
Okay,
I think you've got a copy right in front of you.
I do.
And this book, well, it takes place in Nazi Germany
Mm-hmm.
with a young girl named Liesel who finds comfort
Yeah,
and even strength in stealing books.
right.
And one of the most fascinating parts of this book is it's narrated by Death himself.
It is a really interesting narrative choice.
You know, it makes you kind of think about this whole story from a very different perspective.
It really does. Like right from the beginning, you get this sense of foreshadowing,
Yeah.
but also this kind of overview of humanity in the midst of really unimaginable circumstances.
Yeah, and just even thinking about how death is reflecting on humanity in this context.
Exactly.
It's something that draws you in right away.
Absolutely.
So the book opens in 1939 with Liesel traveling by train
Yeah.
to her new foster parents.
Right.
And it's during this journey that we experience the first loss that Death narrates.
Mm-hmm.
Her younger brother dies. And at his burial, Liesel steals her first book.
She does, and it's such a pivotal moment.
It is.
Because it's not just about the theft itself,
Yeah.
it's about what that act represents for Liesel.
The Gravedigger's Handbook.
Right.
Not exactly, light reading for a 9-year-old.
No, not at all. But it sparks this fascination with words.
Mm-hmm.
And that fascination really becomes the driving force for her throughout the entire story.
So let's talk a little bit about her foster parents, Hans and Rosa Huberman.
Oh, okay.
They're quite a pair.
They are very different personalities,
Yeah.
but they both play such crucial roles in Liesel's life.
We have Hans with his gentle nature love for the accordion he teaches Liesel to read.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes kind of this confidant almost.
Yes, he's her anchor in a world that feels like it's constantly shifting.
Yeah. And then you have Rosa.
Oh, Rosa.
She's a tough one.
A woman of very few words and a lot of chores.
But she does have a heart in there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. She has a very strong maternal instinct. But she expresses it in her own unique way.
It's hidden underneath that gruff exterior.
Exactly. And it's interesting because despite their differences,
Yeah.
Hans and Rosa create this space for Liesel to heal and to grow.
And to find her place.
Mm-hmm. In a world that's becoming increasingly hostile.
Yeah, but this is Nazi Germany.
Right.
And life, even for a family tucked away on Himmel Street,
Mm-hmm.
is about to get a lot more complicated.
Yes. The stakes are about to get much higher.
Yeah, so part 2 of the book opens with Liesel stealing again,
Okay.
this time from a Nazi book burning.
A very different kind of theft.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how her thievery kind of evolves.
It does.
She's not just taking a book anymore.
Right.
It's this act of defiance against
Yeah.
what these books represent.
Exactly. She's rejecting the ideology.
The hate and ignorance that's fueling those flames.
Yes, it becomes a very powerful symbol.
And her hunger for books
Mm-hmm.
leads her to another source.
Okay.
The mayor's wife, Ilse Hermann.
Ah, yes.
She has this library that Liesel just can't resist.
Right. And their relationship is so complex.
Yeah.
It's because it starts with this act of stealing,
Right.
but it evolves into something much deeper.
And these stolen words start to really shape her understanding of the world around her.
Yes. They open up new possibilities.
New perspectives.
And they give her a way to process the difficult realities she's facing.
And then comes a turning point in part 3.
Right.
A secret that changes everything for the Hubermans.
Mm-hmm.
Max Vandenberg,
Yes.
a Jewish man fleeing persecution, seeks refuge in their basement.
A huge risk for everyone involved.
It's a huge risk.
They're putting their lives on the line to protect him.
And this decision forces them to live with this constant fear,
Mm-hmm.
this tension that permeates their lives from that moment on.
It creates this atmosphere of secrecy.
Yeah.
Where every action, every word has to be carefully considered.
And yet, in the midst of all of that fear and tension,
Mm-hmm.
something beautiful blossoms.
It does.
This bond between Liesel and Max.
They connect on such a deep level.
They share stories, their fears, their hopes.
They even paint over the pages of Mein Kampf with these fantastical tales.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful image of resistance.
Words become their escape.
Their weapon against the darkness closing in around them.
And it's not just Max who helps Liesel navigate these really difficult times.
Right.
Her friendship with Rudy Steiner, the boy next door.
Oh, Rudy.
He adds a layer of lightheartedness to this story.
Boy, he does. He's full of mischief.
He's constantly pushing boundaries.
He's testing the limits.
And he's always asking Liesel for a kiss.
That becomes a recurring theme, doesn't it?
It does this request that kind of pops up throughout the story,
Mm-hmm.
and their friendship, while innocent,
Yeah.
does hint at something deeper,
Right.
especially as they face this growing shadow of war together.
It adds a layer of complexity to their relationship.
Yeah, and as the Nazi regime strengthens its grip on Germany,
Mm-hmm.
even Himmel Street isn't immune to its influence.
No one is truly safe.
No one is truly safe.
The war is closing in.
Right, part 4 introduces the word shaker.
Okay.
This is the story that Max writes for Liesel.
I love that story within a story.
And it's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it?
It is. It speaks to the duality of words.
Yeah.
Their ability to both destroy and to heal.
As we see with Hitler's rhetoric.
Exactly. Words can be weapons.
But they can also be tools for connection.
For understanding.
And this is where we start to see Liesel really grappling with that. She sees it in Max's words.
Yeah.
In Hans' quiet acts of defiance.
Right.
Even in the hateful rhetoric of the Nazi propaganda.
It's all around her.
It's a dangerous time to be thinking about these things.
It is.
Especially as the Hubermans are trying to maintain this sense of normalcy.
Right.
But normal is quickly slipping away.
Yes. The world is on the brink of something terrible. Yeah. Part 5, it really marks a shift in the story, I think.
Yeah.
The war intensifies.
Mm-hmm.
And those personal risks become impossible to ignore.
Right.
So Max realizes he's endangering the family.
Yeah.
And he decides to leave.
It's a heartbreaking goodbye.
It is, for both of them.
But he knows he has to go.
He understands the danger he brings.
Really emphasizes that constant fear.
Right.
That tension that was always present in their lives.
He was always looming.
And soon after Max leaves, Hans makes a decision.
Oh, yeah.
While it's rooted in compassion, it carries really serious repercussions.
It does.
He sees a Jewish prisoner being marched through mulching,
Right.
and he offers the man a piece of bread.
Just a small act of kindness.
Yeah, this small act of humanity in the face of such cruelty.
But it doesn't go unnoticed.
Not at all.
It has consequences.
It leads to Hans being drafted into the German army.
It does. The
Yeah.
regime's reach is so pervasive.
It's a reminder that even simple acts of kindness
can be met with punishment.
Yeah. So now Liesel's coping not only with Max's absence, but also with Hans being sent off to war.
A lot for her to process.
How does she deal with all of this?
Well, she turns to what she knows, words. She begins writing her own story. The Book Thief.
Wow.
Pouring all of her experiences, her fears, her observations into these pages.
That's her way of making sense of everything that's happening.
Exactly. It's a way to process the chaos.
So she's not just reading anymore.
No.
She's creating.
She's taking control of the narrative.
Yeah, she's taking ownership of her own story.
In a world where so much is being taken from her.
And as she's grappling with all of this, external events are escalating.
Right.
The war is coming to Himmel Street.
And it comes in a devastating way.
The bombing.
The bombing.
One of the most heart-wrenching parts of the book.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder of the indiscriminate nature of war.
It doesn't care who you are.
So many innocent lives lost.
Including many people Liesel knew and loved.
Including Rudy.
Rudy.
Such a devastating loss.
That's a turning point in the story.
And amidst all of this rubble, as death is collecting the souls, Liesel is spared.
She survives.
She's physically alive, but
at what cost?
What state is she in emotionally?
Traumatized, of course. She's lost almost everyone.
Yeah.
But she finds a strange comfort
Okay.
in Ilse Hermann.
Really?
The mayor's wife.
The woman she was stealing from.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they have this shared understanding of loss.
They both know grief.
And that draws them together.
So she survives the war, and the book moves into its final part, part 8.
Okay.
What happens now?
Well, the war ends. And life, in a very fragile way, starts to return to some kind of normalcy.
Okay.
And for Liesel, there's a glimmer of hope.
Does Max come back?
He does.
He does.
He finds his way back to Himmel Street.
Wow.
And they're reunited.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a powerful moment.
It really speaks to the power of their bond.
It does. A connection forged in such difficult circumstances.
Yeah, formed through shared stories and stolen words.
Exactly.
In a time when words themselves were weaponized.
Right.
So as she navigates this post-war world, what happens?
She carries those experiences with her. The memories of those she lost.
Okay.
And that enduring power of words.
Yeah.
To both harm and to heal.
So where does the story leave Liesel?
We see her grow old.
Okay.
She lives a full life,
Yeah.
eventually immigrating to Australia.
Okay.
But it's not a simple happily ever after.
Right?
The book acknowledges the lasting impact of what she went through.
The trauma.
The trauma shaped her,
Yeah.
and then death makes one final appearance.
Oh, really?
He shows Liesel the book she wrote.
The book thief.
The book thief,
Wow.
bringing the story full circle.
And he even reveals that it was her story
Yes.
that initially drew him to her.
To her resilience.
Our spirit.
Her unique perspective on the world.
That gives me chills.
It's a powerful moment.
It suggests that stories have a power beyond our lifetime.
They connect us
Yeah.
in ways we may never fully understand.
So that's where we leave Liesel.
Yes.
Having lived a life marked by both profound loss
Mm-hmm.
and enduring love.
Her story serves as this testament to the power of words
Yeah.
to shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
You know, it's incredible how Zusak manages to weave all these different layers together in this book.
Yeah.
You have Liesel's personal journey, the historical backdrop of Nazi Germany,
Right.
and then this really unique perspective from death.
It's what makes the book so compelling.
Yeah, what stands out to you most about his narration?
I think it's his detachment.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Right.
not emotionally invested in the events in the same way that the characters are,
Right.
which allows him to offer this broader perspective.
Oh, yeah.
He sees the beauty and the brutality of humanity,
Yeah.
the fragility of life, the enduring power of hope.
It's almost as if he's learning alongside the reader,
Yeah.
trying to make sense of the world and the choices people make.
Especially in times of crisis.
Yeah, exactly. And through his observations,
Mm-hmm.
we're prompted to consider those same questions.
Right.
What makes us human? How do we find meaning in the face of suffering?
What legacies do we leave behind?
Those are big questions.
They are, but they're at the heart of The Book Thief.
Yeah, this book is not just about a girl who steals books.
No.
It's a reflection on the power of words, the resilience of the human spirit.
The complexities of life and death.
Exactly. And it really invites us to consider our own relationship with words.
It does.
How do we use them? How do they shape us? What stories do we tell, and what stories are told about us?
Powerful questions.
Yeah, and I think what makes The Book Thief so impactful is that it doesn't shy away from those difficult topics.
It doesn't.
It forces us to confront, the realities of war, loss, prejudice.
Right.
But it also reminds us of the importance of compassion, hope.
Human connection.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Well, it seems like we've only just scratched the surface of The Book Thief.
There's so much more to explore.
But we've hit that time limit.
We have.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you some new insights into this incredible book.
I think so.
There's so much to think about and maybe even discuss with your fellow bookworms.
Absolutely.
All right, until next time.